if we consider the given parametric equation, x equals 10 cosine t and y equals 6 plus 10 sine t, we will be asked to find the, eliminate the parameter, so just to get an equation with x's and y's, and sketch how it's graphed, sketch its curve, and also how it's traversed as t moves from 0 to 2 pi. Alright, so this one we also have to be a little clever. I can't just solve for t because I end up getting a cosine inverse, which doesn't really work very well when I try to go back into sine of cosine inverse. What we're going to do instead is just be a little clever, and notice that if I took x squared, and then I took y minus 6 squared. Because if I took y minus 6, that will cancel off this 6, and this is 10 cosine squared, and this will then be 10 sine, well sorry, a 10, the 10 will be squared as well. So 10 cosine t squared, and this will be 10 sine t squared. And so that's 100 cosine t and 100 sine t, which I can factor out and get 100 cosine squared t plus sine squared t. But cosine squared t plus sine squared t is just 1, no matter what, always. So we end up just getting 100, which means that if I would have set that original equation equal to 100, then I get something that is true. Because when I simplify the left-hand side, I end up getting 100. So this is our curve after eliminating the parameter. It's not obvious how you would get that without having already seen the answer or being clever about it, but that's what we're doing. We're removing the 6 by subtracting 6, and then noticing that it's essentially sine squared plus cosine squared up to that constant of 100 that can be factored out. Okay, so that's the curve. This is a circle. Right, x squared plus y squared equals 100 would be a circle of radius 10, but since we have y minus 6, that means we've shifted. We've shifted 6 units in the y direction, which means that now the center is at 0. We haven't shifted the x center, but we have shifted the y center. This is the point 0, 6. That's the center of the curve. X squared plus y squared equals r squared, the radius squared, so the radius is 10. Radius is 10, the square root of 100. So if that's 6, that's going to go all the way down to 4, and then I have a fairly large circle there, a circle of radius 10. How does it move? Right? What direction does it go? Does it go counterclockwise? Does it go clockwise? Do we end up getting the entire circle? Those are the other questions that we can ask. Well, as t goes from 0 to 2 pi, t is essentially our angle here. If I didn't have any of this stuff, if I just had x is equal to cosine t, y is equal to sine t, then this would be the unit circle. This is cosine of theta, sine theta, as theta goes from 0 to 2 pi, which goes the entire way around the circle. And in fact goes counterclockwise. All that these numbers do, the 10 and the 6, is give us a change in the radius and a change in the center point of the circle. But because it's still cosine and sine, and cosine of t and sine of t, then we're still going to get counterclockwise, and we're still going to get the entire way around the circle because we're making our entire angle. The very first angle will be cosine of 0, the very last angle will be cosine of 2 pi, which is the entire circle. So we get it counterclockwise, and we get the entire circle.